We've worked with over 100 e-commerce brands and managed their retention, and we've generated hundreds of millions in retention revenue, and we get asked a lot of questions. And in this video, I'm going to break down some of the most common questions that we get asked. So the first one is, what's a good email revenue percentage for an e-com brand? So the first thing to keep in mind is it depends on your attribution, which we'll probably talk about later, but also it depends on your brand, right? For example, if you have a one product store or you only sell like one core hero product, your percentage is going to be much lower. A good email percentage could be 20%. However, if you're a subscription brand and you have dozens of different products and people come back again and again, you're probably going to have like closer to 40 to 60% of your revenue coming from email. The next question is, what actually matters more, flows or campaigns? So I honestly think campaigns matter more. And generally what a lot of brands will do is they will set up their flows and then they will neglect their campaigns, okay? However, your campaigns actually feed your flows. And I've made another video about this on the channel, where the more campaigns you send, the more it's going to trigger your flows. Because if you send, let's say, 1 million emails per month, and this is like 1 million emails delivered, well, when people click those emails and they go to your website, that's going to trigger the viewed product. If they get to the cart, that will trigger the abandoned cart. If they get to checkout, it will trigger the abandoned checkout. And obviously if they purchase as well. So the more campaigns you send, the more it actually fuels your flows. So you definitely need both. However, I would say, campaigns are more important because most brands have basic flows anyways. So I would lean on campaigns here. Okay, so the next question is, why does email feel over-attributed for a lot of brands? And the truth is, it is over-attributed. If you go look at your Klaviyo attribution settings, you're going to see like a 5-day click, 5-day open. And you can actually do a comparison here. It's a new feature on Klaviyo where you can compare that to like a 1 hour click, 1 hour open. You'll see a big difference. But just to let you know, you don't see like that much of a difference from like a 5-day to a 1 day. It's really when you're starting to like do hours, then you start to see a difference. And we have some clients that we have like a 1 hour click, 1 hour open. And we've been working with them for years, right? So it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, we're still delivering a massive ROI for them in regards to how much revenue we're driving for their brand. And they have clarity on the numbers. They don't have to question the revenue, the attribution, how much money is actually coming from here. And we also set targets with this brand. So if we hit a certain milestone, a certain revenue mark, then we actually get a bonus because they know that that's the true number. Okay, but for a lot of brands, it is over-attributed, especially for subscription brands, because you'll have the subscription revenue will actually be taken as campaign revenue or flow revenue. So make sure that if your team is doing it or your agency is doing it, make sure that they're excluding those people. Okay, so the next question is, what's the biggest mistake you see in most Klaviyo accounts? There's multiple things, to be honest. If I was to say one thing, I'd probably say not sending enough volume. And this is with flow volume and your campaign volume, where people probably have like 3 emails inside of the abandoned checkout. Why not have 10? And also people are probably sending like 3 campaigns a week. Why not send 7? Okay, so I would say that's the single biggest thing. And I could talk about a lot more, but we'll leave it at that. Next question, how do you actually increase your repeat purchase rate? So this is one of the best metrics that you should actually track, like how many customers come back and buy again and again. And it's really important that you deliver a really good first impression. So that's where it starts, because once someone buys, you get one chance to make a good first impression. If we do this properly, and then if we can like guide them into and educate them on like the next problem that basically occurs after this product solves that problem, if that makes sense. And obviously it depends on the brand, but I would say deliver a good first impression, make sure that they actually get their order on time and you didn't overpromise. And then once they've had that good experience from your first product, then you can actually push them to buy it again. But make sure you go off data here. And this is the biggest problem I see with a lot of brands, is they don't go off data. So let's say, for example, if you have like a supplement brand, if someone buys the creatine on the first order, look at the data on what they buy next and when do they buy it. Okay, they buy the pre-workout next. Okay, after how long? Is it after 87 days or is it after 22 days? All right, and then make sure that you're actually going off of that data. And there's a lot of stuff that you can do here, but dive into the data and make sure that you're going off the data. And I'd say like that's the biggest thing to drive up your repeat purchase rate. Deliver a really good first impression and actually go off the data and like do volume, okay? And also like be multi-channel as well, email, SMS, and direct mail. If you do that, you'll drive up your repeat purchase rate a lot. Next question is, what should a strong retention system look like? So in 2026, retention isn't just email anymore, it's your full retention system. And we actually renamed our agency because of it. It used to be called Email for Brands, now it's called Retention for Brands. So a good email system should be multi-channel, email, SMS, and direct mail. I'd say those are the core three. You can stack more on top of that as well, but then also having third-party integrations for pop-ups or AI segmentation, or for like flow triggers, or for deliverability. So a lot of other stuff that you can add in here, but I'd say that's what it should look like. 3 main channels and then third-party apps stacked on top of that. And obviously a good team to manage it. And if you want our agency, Retention for Brands, to do a full retention audit for your e-commerce brand, if you're doing over $250,000 per month, you can apply from the first link in the description. All right, next question. How often should brands be sending campaigns? So this all depends on your goal. Like, we have some brands that push pretty aggressively and push heavy, and they'll send like 2 campaigns a day, right? Now, obviously that's segmented through different customers and basically different products and stuff like that. However, most brands should be doing like minimum 20 campaigns per month, I would say. Like, if you're sending anything less than that, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, and you're not going to annoy people. Sometimes we speak of brand owners and like, oh, we don't want to send that much volume because we're going to annoy people. It's like, no, because if you look at the metrics, only like 1% of people click your emails anyways, and like what, 30-40% open. Just because they open it doesn't mean that they consumed it. They just opened it to clear their inbox. Okay, so it's really important to send more volume, because it's just like free CPMs basically. So yeah, you want to send at least 20 campaigns per month. Personally, I would always recommend more. So the next question is, what flows should every ecom brand have in place? So we actually do this in phases. We have phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Phase 1 is your most important. This is your welcome, your abandoned checkout, and your customer thank you. If you're gonna do no other flows, like but 3, I would just do those 3. Then next you have your browse abandonment, a post-purchase upsell, and then a win back. Okay, so that's like phase 2. And then phase 3 is all of the other flows. But I would say just have phase 1 and phase 2 is like your basics. And obviously then you can get more advanced with your cross sells, with your replenish, with like different subscription reminders and stuff like that. The next question, how do you know email marketing is actually working? So this is email marketing. Like I said, you should be pushing full retention. So that's full system. But yeah, just look at the platform and obviously just go off of the, you can obviously look at your attribution, make sure the settings are done right. If they're not, you can also just see the impact. Like if you launch a new product or if you do a sale that wasn't pushed on any other channel, like what was the impact? Did that spike up the sales on that day? Did it not? So you can look at that stuff as well, which I know for a lot of brands, if we do like, let's say an email only secret sale or we launch a product, they'll see the spike and they're like, wow, we're killing it today in sales. Did anything happen on the retention side? And we're like, yeah, we've sent out an SMS, we've done this resend, or we sent this email and it's crushing it, So that's how you know, but pretty simple really. Next question, what's the difference between average and high performing retention? So really, I would just say it's like LTV. Like high performing retention will have a very high LTV and a very high returning customer rate and returning customer revenue. So if these 3 metrics are pretty dialed in, you're doing good, especially if you see your LTV go up after 30, like 90, 180, and then like 365 days. If you're seeing your LTV go up a lot, then you're doing pretty good at retention. Next question, why is Klaviyo so expensive? So Klaviyo is expensive. However, what I always say is, and we have an ad angle around this, is if Klaviyo feels expensive, you're not making enough money from retention. So that's what I always say. However, it is an expensive software, but if you compare that to like what you pay Meta every single day, like you might spend 1,000, 10,000, 100 grand every single day on Meta, is like, Klaviyo's quite cheap then, and it brings in a massive ROI. Plus, is like there isn't that much direct competition. Like there's some of these other platforms, but literally every single one of our clients is on Klaviyo because it is the best platform. And we work really, really closely with them. You can get some discounts sometimes, but it is quite rare. I would just say, instead of giving out about the bill, just try and make more money. Like most brands have left to go to a different platform, because we've had clients that have left Klaviyo because of reasons of like trying to cut their bill in and stuff like that. And they've always regretted it, and they've came back to Klaviyo, or they didn't come back, but they did regret it. Next question, are brands focusing on the wrong metrics when it comes to retention? So I think a lot of brands are looking at the Klaviyo revenue, which is okay. But like I said, you definitely should be focused on your LTV, on your return customer revenue, on your return or your repeat purchase rate. those are kind of like the main metrics that I would look at. Sure, you can look at your Klaviyo revenue or your revenue from SMS, but I would mainly be looking at your LTV and the metrics I just talked about. Okay, next question and final question. Other than email, what would you recommend for retention? So I have a lot of other videos on this channel. You can look at this video for like the top 4 strategies that I recommend, but really just push SMS and direct mail. Like, watch the video I done here on Postpilot, and Postpilot like are so good. Like, sending direct mail is so good for your brand, especially if you have a higher AOV or a higher LTV. It does really, really good. And then add third-party integrations. However, this can add an expense, so make sure that you're getting the ROI from it. But yeah, any questions on that, you can look at some of the other videos that I have on this channel. You can see some of those third-party integrations. Okay, so that's it, Q&A on retention. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments below. And like I already mentioned, if you want our agency to do a full retention audit for you, click the first link in the description. Cheers.